Hey, hello. Alright, this is the video commentary for the song Out of Reach. Out of Reach was, let's see. Out of Reach was originally a slow song I wrote a long time ago. It was originally a ballad. At the time, I don't know how many of you remember this or familiar with it, but at the time, Bryan Adams had just done that MTV Unplugged thing where he had a few new songs, and I really dug that. So there were some songs on there that kind of hovered around the 5-note of the scale. Mostly the song Back to You, which would keep hitting that note and coming down. So when I was writing Out of Reach, I kind of kept doing the same thing. I reach out of touch, out of time, I was hitting that note because it felt meaty to me. So at the time, that's what I was kind of listening to, and so I wrote that song. And it was originally, again, a ballad. It was out of reach, out of touch, out of time, out. I mean, it was very much one of those kind of songs, and that's how it was for a couple years in my head. And then a few years later, I was working on the Stolen Season record, and I was pulling together all the songs I was going to use for that, or writing the songs that I was going to use for that. And I was kind of looking at them, and was just like, there's so many ballads, there's so many slow songs on here. I mean, it's just depressing. I mean, for me, as much as I love the piano, it's not really a happy instrument. I find it hard to write happy songs on the piano. The piano kind of lends itself to me to more, more serious, more fluffy, or more kind of syrupy kind of things, which I like doing. I do that. That's what comes out a lot of the time. So I was combing together the songs for Stolen Season, and there was a night I couldn't sleep, and I was laying there and just thinking about music and thinking about the songs. And then so I was on the floor thinking of why I was on the floor doesn't really matter. And I was thinking about songs, and Out of Reach kind of came back, and in my mind I thought, what if I sped that up? Because I always liked that song. So in my mind, I'm just kind of speeding the song up, and I'm like, okay, this will kind of work. That, by the way, is why the verses of Out of Reach are so vocally, why they're so fast, why they kind of like da 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 da. Because originally it was slower, so there was room to breathe and do those words. But we sped it up, and it was kind of that's what ended up happening to it. So the next day, I played it on guitar, changed the key, and the na-nas came out of, I don't know where the na-nas came from. I was never going to write a song with na-nas because they're kind of, I don't know, there's nothing wrong with them, I just wasn't going to do it, but it seemed to work. It seemed to kind of like, oh, this is happy, which I, again, have a hard time writing happy. And that's kind of how that song came about. Actually, I was really happy with it, because at the end of that song, you got the just so out of reach, and then you got the na-na-na-na-na, and the guitars, if you listen, are doing the melody of the chorus. It's really cool. It's one of those layering things, again, that I get excited about. And yeah, that's kind of it. So that's how that song came to be. It was a slow song that I sped up. I used that same trick with Angelina kind of a little while later. And I remember at the time when I was recording the Stolen Seeds and stuff that Shania Twain put out her Up record, and there was a song on there called It Only Hurts When I Breathe. And the chorus of that song is, it only hurts when I'm breathing. And I remember my ego, I guess at the time, was like, oh no, people are going to think that I stole this melody from this song, which is such a far reach. It's just so silly of me. Yeah, I guess that's it pretty much. Yeah. So there you go. That's the story of Out of Reach. Thank you for listening. All right. Bye-bye.